You probably grew up being the helper, you were called the mature one in the family, you knew how to appear independent, and you became the problem solver. You were essentially the one who held everything together. If this was your role, then this video is for you. Because as you've probably realized by now, these roles haven't disappeared in your adult life. In fact, you almost feel suffocated by this role. You've most likely carried this role into your relationships, into work, and even into your friendships. Today, I want to help you free your energy and release these old roles. And I want to help guide you to reconnect with who you really are. So let's start by looking at how these roles actually form. Maybe you grew up as the confidant, the emotional support, the one a lot of older people, sometimes your own parents, came to for advice. And many times, those same people blamed you when things went wrong. This dynamic taught you that unless you were useful, unless you were good, you were not worth loving. And so, to survive, you became a problem solver. Additionally, you became hyper aware of other people's moods, patterns, tones of voice. You learned to read people from a single look. And this role was never a choice. This role was actually a survival strategy. It helped protect you in the home that you grew up in. So there's a very high chance that you're still performing this role in your life today, at work, in your relationship, and in your friendships. The problem is that every time you try to change and not play this role, you get pulled back into this dynamic. This is because every relationship system has an equilibrium. Everyone is unconsciously playing a role, and the system organizes itself around maintaining that balance. And the annoying part is that most people don't want to change. Some people can't really change, and many people around you will resist your evolution, especially when you're trying to break from this role. This is because your growth requires people around you to grow as well. And that brings up certain truths that they're just not ready to face. So they see your healing as a threat to the old equilibrium. In this dynamic, people will unconsciously try to pull you back into the old pattern, guilt you. They may use fear or subtle manipulation, distance themselves, act confused because they don't know how to relate to the new you. It's just unconscious behavior. And most of the world operates unconsciously. At some point, you have to understand this essential thing. You are not the role you've been performing. You were conditioned into the role. You were pressured into performing it. You weren't conscious enough to resist it. You were trying to survive. So, a lot of people stop once they reach this realization. But this is where the healing actually begins. This is the part where you ask, if I'm not this role, then who am I? And this is the quintessential identity crisis. This is where most people feel lost because we tend to think, we are taught to think that identity is a checklist. It's a type of personality. It's your resume. It's a certain set of traits. It's a list of your so-called achievements. But who you really are is far richer, deeper, and way more complex than a checklist. You find your true self through a real connection with yourself and not through any list. What if you stop thinking about your identity and start feeling who you really are? So, how do you become who you really are? You start by quietening the noise, because your inner voice is always speaking to you. It's drowning everything out, and you've been conditioned to perform and to listen to this voice. So, this part is going to be difficult. This is where you have to really connect to the feelings and not the thoughts within you. Your feelings are numbed and drowned out by cultural norms, family expectations, the shoulds, career pressure, who you were told you must be, and all the roles you adopted to stay safe and secure into this container. So you begin by turning the volume of these voices all the way down. Like imagine taking the dial and bringing it down to zero, quietening the noise of your thoughts. And now the external world becomes quiet enough for your inner voice to be heard. You have to be there to hear it. It needs you. You need you. This is your somatic navigation system, and it's really, really powerful. So when something feels light, when something feels warm and expansive, that's you aligning with yourself. And when something feels heavy and cold and constricting, that's misalignment. And your job in this new state, in this evolution, in this evolved state, is to follow the lightness and move away from the heaviness. This is how you shed the role that has kept you a prisoner. And the beautiful thing is, as you become who you really are, expect that not everyone will grow with you, and that's okay. That's love expanding. And for anyone who is not grown enough to be part of the new field that you're creating around yourself, this person will automatically move out of your life. And it's not a failure and it's not a punishment. It's just your evolution. Your energy is shifting, your identity is shifting, and your frequency is shifting. So it's not something to be afraid of. It's this beautiful process of growth. And if you're really connected to yourself and tuned into yourself, you can actually feel light, warm, and expansive as these changes take place around you, because a lot of these changes are taking you to that outcome that you really want. Here is where you stop overfunctioning, where you stop solving problems that aren't yours to solve. This is how you release the obligation to play the role. You invest your initiative into yourself. All that care, effort, planning, all of that was turned outwards, turn it inward towards you. You are allowed to be the center of your own life. Allow yourself to be the center of your own life and build a relationship with your inner guidance system, your feelings, that somatic navigation system that tells you when something feels good and expansive and when something is not really the right thing for you. It takes courage. Sometimes your inner voice will pop up every now and then and try to judge your experience, and just let it be and just let it flow through you. Don't resist it. This is how you can train yourself to say yes to the feelings you want in your life, to say yes to the outcomes you want in your life, and to be fully able to shed the role. Becoming who you really are and connecting to yourself, it starts with a decision. Maybe you've already made the decision. And to quote a cliche, now you just have to trust the process. So begin to reduce the noise, increase the inner listening, the listening to your feelings. Follow what feels lighter and move away from what feels heavy. And step by step, you will begin to reorganize around your true self. Your life will center around your true self instead of the roles you performed in the past to survive. And know that you deserve to live as who you are, not as who you had to be. Until next time.